Hello there. Today's lesson is about the numbers from 101 to 1 million. A few weeks ago, you had an assignment that required you to know your numbers from 101 to 999,999. I am increasing your knowledge of numbers in Spanish by 1 to 1 million. Once you learn 1 million, it will be super easy to learn the rest, okay? At this point, you already know all of your numbers. The vast majority of you are doing really well and know all of your numbers, at least from 0 to 100. So we're going to be looking at numbers greater than 100. You already know that 100 in Spanish is 100. Now let's look at the rest of the hundreds, okay? So 200 in Spanish is 200. So 200, cientos. And that's going to be the pattern for pretty much all of the hundreds, with the exceptions of 500, 700, and 900, which you would see on this screen underlined for a reason. 300, 300. 400, 400. 500, it is not 500. That does not exist. This number breaks the rule. So you need to memorize that 500 in Spanish is 500, all right? 600, 600, 700 also does not follow the rule. Notice how I do not say siete for 7 and then cientos. I am saying 700 without the I. So again, you need to memorize this number as it is. 800, 800, 900, 900. This is another rule breaker. I am not saying 900. I am saying 900. So 900 in Spanish, 900. Keep in mind those three tricky numbers when we get to when you're going over the hundreds, because those are the most common mistakes people tend to make. So even though you already know that 100 is 100, I would like to point out a quick tip here. Remember that the word changes to ciento for any numbers greater than 100. So if we're talking about 101 through 199, you're going to be using the word ciento. So 101 in Spanish is 101. 102, 102. 103, 103. 104, 104. And so on. So if I get to 199, I'm going to say 199. So let's recap here. 200, 200. I just want to mention that if I'm talking about 201, it stays the same. It's not like 100 that changes. So I would say in Spanish, 201. 299, 299. And that's the case with the rest of the hundreds, okay? 300, 300, 400, 400, 500, 500. Remember, you need to memorize 500. 600, 600, 700, 700. Remember, you also need to memorize 700, 800, 800, 900, 900. Remember, you need to memorize 900, okay? So all of these numbers follow a logical rule with the exception of 500. Notice how it starts with 500, right? 700, notice how it starts with 700. And 900, notice how it starts with 900. Let's talk about grammar or gramática. Numbers from 200 to 999 have masculine and feminine forms that agree with the noun they describe. So I'm giving you an example. So if I'm saying, hay 580 chicos y 650 chicas en el colegio, in English, right, that would be there are 580 boys and 650 girls at school. We tend to use the masculine version of the number as, you know, the neutral form of it, unless I'm referring to females, right? Or if I'm using a feminine noun, then I need to be mindful. In this case, I'm talking about girls, chicas. So if I'm talking about chicas, I cannot say 650 because it would not match my noun. So I need to make sure that I change 600 to 650 chicas so that it matches my feminine noun. So notice how I have 600 ending with AS and then chicas ending with AS, all right? Same thing for the masculine form. It's usually not a problem unless you have a feminine noun. All right. Let's talk now about the 1,000. No, I'm sorry, not 1,000. Let's talk about the thousands. Before I start with the thousands, I wanted to point out that in some Spanish-speaking countries, such as Spain and many South American countries, the decimal is used in place of a comma and vice versa. Other Spanish-speaking countries use the same punctuation as in the United States with respect to numbers. Among those countries are Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. For the purpose of my class, I honestly do not care whether you use a comma or a decimal point. I am more used to the comma form of it. And again, depending on the country that you visit, you are going to find that, you know, different things are being used. So just keep that in the back of your mind moving forward. For the purpose of this lesson, I am going to be using the decimal instead of the comma so that you're aware of that, okay? So 1,000 is 1000, super easy. You're gonna find out that the thousands are super easy to learn because they all of those numbers follow a very specific pattern. There are no rule breakers. So 2,000, two in Spanish is dos, and right, 1,000 is mil, right? 3,000, 3,000, 4,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 6,000, 6,000, 7,000, 7,000, 8,000, 8,000, 9,000, 9,000. So isn't that beautiful? I love when patterns work just the way they're supposed to work, right? You know what to expect. Let's talk about grammar one more time. Gramática. Mil has only one form. That means that mil is mil whether you're talking about chicos or chicas, using my previous example. It's what we call a unisex word, right? It applies to both genders. So there's no need to change anything to this word. It's always gonna be mil, no matter what. When using Spanish numbers only, not in sentences, the commas and decimal points are switched. And remember, as I said before, that this is going to depend on the country, right, that you're visiting. So, but for the most part, the rule of thumb is that in English, right, when you write 1,000, you will put 1,000. In Spanish, it's not at all unusual to see like one dot or decimal and then 000. What's really mixed up sometimes is that in instances where you will use the decimal point, you would see a comma. So let's say you're buying a shirt, maybe not a shirt, maybe you're buying a cookie and the cookie costs $1.50, right? So in English, you would see the dollar sign and then 1.50. But if you go to a Spanish speaking country, you may see like the sign of their currency. Maybe it's the dollar, like in Panama, or even Costa Rica. They also take the dollar there, the US dollar, I should specify that. But then you would see like 1,50. So you would see the comma instead of the decimal point. So I just want to point that out. So let's recap a little bit here. 1,000, we said is 1000. So if I'm saying 1,001, 1001, 1,080, 1080, 1,101, 1101, 1,500, 1500, 1,888, 1888. Okay? 2,000, 2,000, 3,000, 3,000, 4,000, 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 6,000, 6,000, 7,000, 7,000, 8,000, 8,000, 9,000, 9,000. One more thing. The year, let's talk about years, writing years. Like the year may be written in Spanish with or without a period. Or what we call the comma or whatever. When it is spoken, it is read like any other 4-digit number. So you know how like in English, we tend to group our numbers like the first 2 digits and then the last 2 digits. So if I'm saying that, year 2020 is less than ideal so far, in English, right, I say 2020. In Spanish, you're going to read that year as 2020, all right, as a 4-digit number. So an example for this will be the year 1492. In English, you would say 1492. But in Spanish, if I'm referring to the year 1492, I am going to say 1492. We don't group the first 2 digits and then the last 2 digits when telling a year in Spanish. So in Spanish, that will be 1492, 1492. Okay, let's move on to the 10,000s, all right? So the cool thing about this is that if you remember all your multiples of 10, this is super easy. If you know like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, right? Remember learning those numbers? Where you're gonna be applying that to this lesson. 10,000, 10,000, 20,000, 20,000, 30,000, 30,000, 40,000, 40,000, 50,000, 50,000, 60,000, 60,000, 70,000, 70,000, 80,000, 80,000, 90,000, 90,000. So it's basically, using your multiples of 10 and then putting the word mil afterwards. Now we're moving on to the 100,000s, and the 100,000s is kind of like going back to the hundreds, this is where it gets a bit tricky because you're learning your hundreds now. So at the beginning of this presentation, I explained to you that's important that you memorize like 500, 700, and 900, because when you move on to the 100,000s, you're gonna need to know that, right? So 100,000 for 100,000. 200,000 is 200,000, 300,000, 300,000, 400,000, 400,000, 500,000, 500,000, 600,000, 600,000, 700,000, 700,000, 800,000, 800,000, 900,000, 900,000. And then we get to finally 1 million buckaroonies. All right, 1 million is a cognate word, and that means un millón in Spanish, okay? And once you get to 1 million, you're gonna be able to say like 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, because it's like, if you know your 1-digit numbers, right, from 1 through, through 9, you got this. You only add the word millón at the end, all right? So as you see on my expansion note on the left, 2 million, 2 millones, and so on, all right? 3 millones, 4 millones, 5 millones, 6 millones, 7 millones, 8 millones, 9 millones. Let's talk about the eye here. In some countries, it's pronounced with a really hard, strong sound like ja, and in other countries, it's more like yeah, right? So I tend to go back and forth. So if you hear me sometimes saying like 2 millones, don't be terrified. It's, depending on, I don't know, where you grew up. Some countries, they tend to use the word more like millón. Some other countries might say millón. And I tend to go back and forth for whatever reason. There isn't a right or wrong way of pronouncing that particular phoneme, okay? So let's move on to, let's talk about the grammar a bit. Gramática, right? Sometimes 4-digit numbers are written without any punctuation, just like in English. So it's not at all at all unusual to see like 3000 for 3,000, okay? Without a decimal or without a comma, so keep that in mind. But I'm going to use this to kind of like review. So I have 106,500. So 100 is ciento, right? Seis. And then that decimal or comma, whatever it is that you have, stands for 1,000. So don't forget to write that word mil. And then you have 500, quinientos, okay? My next example is 999,999. So that's going to be 999, and then I need the word 1,000, which is mil, and then 999, just like the beginning, 999. That's how I'm going to end that number, okay? Now, we are ready to move on to the blue packet activities I assigned to you a few weeks ago. So if you don't have that packet right in front of you, I want you to pause this video, go grab your packet. Because if you don't make corrections or check your answers, then this video is pretty much pointless. I do want you to like check what you did to make sure that your answers are correct, okay? So activity number 10 is asking you to complete each addition problem. Remember that numbers beginning with mil are written with a period in Spanish instead of a comma. Who would have thought? You're learning math in Spanish class. Way to go. So for number 1, you have 6,300 más means plus, 3,200 es igual a equals, that's what that means. And then you should have there 9,500 as your answer. So if you're writing that with words, that is going to be 9,500. 9,500, okay? Número 2, 8,450 más 1,200. So your answer there should be 9,650. In Spanish, that's going to be 9,650. Número 3, 50,000 más 25,000 es igual a 75,000. 75,000 in Spanish is 75,000. Número 4, 3,000 más 800,000 es igual a 803,000. 803,000 in Spanish will be 800, that's 800, and then 3 is tres, and then 1,000. Remember, that's the word for 1,000 is mil. Número 5, I'm sorry, that's not 2,000, that's 200,000, my bad. 200,000 más 750,000 es igual a 950,000. Remember to use 900, all right? Not 900, 900. So, and then 50,000. So that's 950,000, all right? Número 6, 35,000 más 400,000. The answer should be 435,000. And 435,000 in Spanish is 435,000. So check your answers. Make sure that you have them all correct. If you did answer all of them correctly, give yourself a star. I want you to draw a nice big star on that packet for that particular activity. Let's move on to activity number 13 in your blue packet. I'm turning my page. Activity number 13 was asking you to write out the following years, and your job was to writing that with words in Spanish, all right? So for number 1, you should have 700. Remember that this is one of those numbers that's tricky. It's not 700, it's 711, all right? Número 2, 1,492. Número 3, 1789. Número 4, 1814. Número 5, 1898. Número 6, 1939. Número 7, 1975. And number 8, número 8 is 2006, 2006, right? I checked some answers a few weeks ago, and if you notice, from number 2 all the way to number 7, all of those numbers start with 1,000. So make sure that at the very beginning of your answer, you have the word meal, because if you don't have the word meal, then your answer is not completely accurate. So again, I need you to pretend you're Senora Leland or Senor Hemler right now. And if all of your answers are correct, I want you to draw a big smiley face this time. And with the biggest smile, make sure that those teeth are like shining bright. All right. We're gonna move on to the pink packet now. So we're gonna start on page number, I'm sorry, it's page 101, but it's activity number 9 in the pink packet, all right? So the title of this activity is ¿Cuánto es? ¿Cuánto es means how much is it? Read the following numbers and write them out using numerals. And they're giving you a model, so you were supposed to like read those numbers and then write down your answer. I'm gonna tell you in English, obviously, what the answer should have been. So make sure you check your answers there. For number 1, you should have 325. Number 2, 100,902. For number 3, you should have 1,450. For number 4, 5,122. For number 5, you should have 240,811. For number 6, you should have 990,501. For number 7, you should have 700,415. And for number 8, you should have 100,113. I think that was like a super easy activity, right? Do you think? All right. And then I do want you to check your answers, so like if they are all absolutely correct, or you made corrections. It's okay to make mistakes, right? I want you to draw a nice big heart, all right, right next to that number 9. All right, let's move on to activity number 11. Activity number 11. I'm looking for it. Okay, here we go. ¿Cuánto cuesta is the title. That means how much is it? I want you to look at, I'm sorry, no, I do not want you. The directions say, look at the following newspaper ad for electronics. Look at the following newspaper ad for electronics, then answer the question spelling out the numbers. All right, so I included that ad on the right-hand side of the screen for your reference. And then they're showing you the model. ¿Cuánto cuesta el microcomponente? And then you see how the answer starts with cuesta? So you're basically saying like it costs, and then whatever the answer is, all right? And a lot of the words here are related to like the technology articles or devices that we learned that vocabulary a few lessons ago. So you're kind of like going back to that vocab to remember that reproductor is the equivalent of player, all right? So number 1, ¿cuánto cuesta el reproductor? ¿Cuánto cuesta el reproductor? Oh, they're missing a word there. It should be de DVDs. ¿Cuánto cuesta el reproductor de DVDs? All right, so how much does the DVD player cost? So you should have started your answer with cuesta, and then your answer for that one, it was 129,900. So 129,000 is going to be 129,000, and then 900 is 900. Number 2, ¿cuánto cuesta el video grabador? How much does it cost the video recorder. And so you're going to answer with cuesta, and the cost of that is 99,900. So you would have as your answer, cuesta 99,900. Don't forget that word, it's tricky, 900. Number 3, ¿cuánto cuesta el equipo Sony MHC RG22? That's a specific model you have to look for. So your answer should be cuesta 149,900. It costs 149,900. And the last one, number 4, ¿cuánto cuesta el equipo Sony MHC RG33? How much does it cost the Sony equipment model MHC RG33? So you should have as your answer, cuesta 169,900. It costs 169,900. All right. If you did this activity correctly, or if you checked and now you have the correct answers written on your packet, I want you to give yourself a nice pat on the back. You could also draw another star right next to activity number 11 in your pink packet. Well done, guys. Well done. Well, I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for doing a marvelous job with all of your Spanish assignments, for trying your hardest, and reaching out when you need help. We truly appreciate that. Don't forget that you're loved and that you're also missed greatly by Sra. Leland and Sr. Hemler. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.